ICS2O, day 4, I believe, on the touring. You've got a word processor open. I don't think you need to be using Smart Notebook, any old word processor, because there's not going to be any pictures. I'm hoping this is going to be short and sweet, but you might need to pause and play around with touring as we go. So this lesson is going to be on random numbers, which I think is a little fun. It's getting closer and closer to what we want to do, which is to program some games. Um, but we'll get another baby step in that direction. It says there often programmers use random numbers when writing code, particularly for games. Um, we'll show a couple ways to do this in Turing. So the first one is rand number, and then where number is a real number between 0 and 1. And I've got Turing open. I'm going to show you how this works at the same time, maybe as you're typing. Um, so here we go. Notice rand number. If I were just to do this and run this, by the oh, it hasn't been declared. We got to remember to declare our variables, right? And in fact, I should be splitting this code into sections. I should have a header, but I'm going to get lazy on that part. Variable declaration, declaration, var number. And remember, our variable names can be anything. We could have called this whatever we like, really. And that's going to be, it has to be a real number, right? And so what is this going to do now? Well, it didn't do anything, right? This is our processing part. We need an output part here, don't we? So we're going to put our number, because the random number was stored in there, and we got to run it. Okay, random number between 0 and 1 doesn't look very good. I could tidy it up a little bit again. Remember, if I put some colons in there, maybe I only want 2 decimal places. Run there. There's 2 decimal places, and each time I run it, I'm going to get a different number. Run, 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 different number, different number. That's random. That's the idea of random numbers. Okay, not that interesting, right? How does this fit into video games? Well, we'll challenge you with that in a little bit. Or games. No, we're not going to have much success in video games, but games. This is more like what we're talking. You know, this idea of picking a number. So this rand int number 1 to 10 is going to assign number an integer between 1 and 10. And again, number would need to be properly declared earlier in the program. Um, just like any other variable, right? So back in my, and again, if I'm going too fast, you're pausing, right? So here, if I'm going to call it something else, I'll call it pick maybe. And it's going to be an integer, because we're going to make a random integer and put it in pick. Pick a number between 1 and 10. And then we're going to put pick as well. So that was my random number between 0 and 1, and there's my random integer. And it's going to be different each time. So that's one way to do it. And notice that we have to have those variables, and that's maybe a pain or not. That depends on you, I suppose. And that comes to our second way. Our second way is using this rand business. Rand returns a real value between 0 and 1. So I'm going to show you that. So that's capital R-A-N-D. But if I were just to run this, it's going to give me an error. And what error message is I got to move this up so I can actually see the error message. It says error at put and expected this. Well, that's because this rand here it returns an actual value. It's got no place to put it. It's not in brackets or anything like that. So what we would need to do is maybe call it another number. I could even use the same number and print it out there. All right, I goofed, as I do once in a while. It's not just rand, it's rand.real. So if I were to have rand.real in there, rand.real, then this should work. Bam, there it is, 0.03. Notice, again, if I had just that, it expression is not a procedure and cannot be called. This is just like having in your code the number 0.09. It's not doing anything. It's not going anywhere. What we want to do is assign it to something. So I go number and assign it to that. Well, how is that better than the old way then? Well, this looks more familiar to us perhaps, but what's nice is if I just want to output a random number, I could just do what's called a compound statement. Put random real. And that's going to work. Bam, it's not formatted because I deleted all the formatting, but I could put my formatting back in if I wanted to. Say 3 decimal places. Yeah, 10 spaces, 3 decimal places. Good. So that's rand.real. And does it do integers? Can we do integers that way? Absolutely, and it's just as easy. Returns an integer between 1 and 10. So here we go. Let's just print it right out. Let's just print it right out. We're going to go rand.int 1 to 10. So it'll have our decimal number and then my real number from, or integer from 1 to 10, rand.int. There it is. That one was a 10. I can run it again. That one, now it's an 8. Run it again. It's a 1. And it returns an integer between 1 and 10. Note, no variables are necessary. So this is pretty good. All right, so random numbers, how are they any good? Well, one thing we can do is we can start doing some simulation for games. So for instance, I got this little program. I'm going to fix it up here. I could have roll 1, which I'm going to make them both integers, roll 1 and roll 2. And then I'm going to have total. And I'm going to do them, this one I don't need, so I can just comment that out. So I'm not going to use that one at all. But I'm going to have roll 1 picked this way. And it's going to be a roll of a die. But I'm going to use roll 2 the other way. Rand.int between 1 and 6. And you see what this is going to do is this is going to pick a number between 1 and 6 and assign it to roll. This is going to be roll 1 and do the same thing. Different style, that's all. And what else am I going to do? I'm going to have total be equal to roll 1 plus roll 2. And that's like rolling 2 dice, right? So then I'm going to put you rolled a, and then comma total, comma, just to fancy up the output, put an exclamation on there, why not? And then wow, you rolled a 7, wow. Run again. You rolled a 5, wow. You rolled an 8, wow. So which one should you use? You use which one ever that you feel more comfortable with. Which one fits your style? That is up to you. I've got some exercises for you to do. They go from fairly straightforward to fairly complicated. So have fun with those. And remember to save your note.